Right. So let's go in order. Can I have a show of hands, and then I'll call you out. I'll repeat your answer. For who thinks that this program does not compile? Who thinks there's a problem in the back? The gentleman at the back. Just yell it out. I mean, you can't just say it doesn't compile. You have to say why. So the question, you can't write shift by a float. That is correct, but this is not a float. What is this? It's a constant what? It's a constant literal. It's a number. It's neither nor a float nor not a float. It just so happens that because there's a 0 after that, it's not from the real numbers, it's from the integers. So this is actually converted to just shift by 0. But that's a good answer. Who else doesn't think it compiles? Yes, at the back. Print line is not defined. I encourage you to type that into your Go program and find out that yes, it is defined. The print and print line are 2 debugging statements. They're not listed in the spec because they're not guaranteed. But if you're writing a formatting package, you kind of need a way to debug said formatting package. So they are they've been around for a long time, but yeah, they're not really part of the Go spec. It's also really good to write quizzes like this because if you use print line rather than funct print line, you don't have to waste characters on the import when you're trying to make it fit in a tweet. Anybody else who doesn't think it compiles? Yes. 2 init functions. Who thinks that it's okay to have more than one function with the same name? With the same name. Everyone who put up the hand, put it down. Yes. Who thinks it's okay if the function is called init? That is correct. Init is extremely special. Come find me afterwards and I'll explain to you all the ways that init is special. Suffice to say that init, you can have more than one, obviously. And in fact, many things like this var at the top is actually rewritten by the compiler into an init. All the stuff that happens at the package level, the initialization that happens inside the program is actually in a synthesized init function. So yes, you can have more than one init function because that's kind of how package initialization works. My question to you is, in which order do they run? Who thinks, yeah, just yell it out. In the order they're defined. That is actually true if they're in the same package. Sorry, if they're in the same file. If those inits were in different files, what is the order in which they run? Again, yes. Absolutely correct for the man who said he doesn't actually program in Go. You're absolutely right. It is technically undefined because it depends on the order in which the files are passed to the Go compiler. So it's easier to say the order of inits is undefined. Okay, so having multiple functions called init is not a problem. I can show you some slides from a version of this talk where we all go into init. Anybody else thinks this doesn't compile? Yes, I'm going to ask somebody else. Yes, you. Really good. Okay, so what is the type? Sorry, we can't use X here because it isn't a number. So what is the type of X up here? Anybody just yell it out. Rune? Right. It's a rune because it's a snowflake. It's the snowman. So the argument is we can't use rune here. It actually turns out that make is totally fine. It just needs something which is number-like. So again, to the person at the back who said the floating point, if this was make a channel of 1.0 elements, that's fine as well. It just has to be number-like. And this is the same for a bunch of things with the built-in. Okay, so we might move on to say, yes, this program actually does compile. The only one I'll touch on is this. Is there anybody who thought that this was a syntax error? Okay, this is not a syntax error, and you should go and look at the spec for the semicolon insertion rules. But the simple answer to this is, you know how you might be writing a long string, you might say string plus another string. You might have written, like if you're writing a long message, and you might say string plus, and then you start a new line, and the next string. And so go down the page. And the reason that this works is for the same reason that you can split arithmetic expressions across lines. The Go compiler will not insert a semicolon after that star for the same reason it doesn't put a semicolon after the plus character. So effectively, if you run gofumpt, which I won't do that, it's just going to collapse that into n is a pointer to an int. All right, so yes, this does compile. The next question is, does anyone want to guess that if we try and run it, it's going to panic or stall or not run to completion? Does anybody think it's going to panic? Yes? Why? Reading from a closed channel. Okay. Who thinks reading from a closed channel will panic? Show of hands. 1, 2. Okay. Who thinks writing to a closed channel will panic? Correct. It is okay to read from a closed channel. If we read from a closed channel, what value is it going to return? The number 0? The 0 value for the type. Yep. So that is why it won't panic, because it's totally okay to read from a closed channel. We have 2 syntaxes from that. We have this syntax here, and we have the 2 argument version, the one that says, comma, okay. And that's the one that helps you say, did someone actually send me the 0 value? Or was this just you giving me the 0 value because the thing's closed? So that doesn't cause it to panic. Does anybody else think there are reasons why this would panic? Nope. Okay, good. And again, this does not panic. So this does run to completion. And it does print something because print line is a built-in. So what does it print? I have one for false. Anybody else have any answers? True? That's... You'd think in a Boolean context there would only be 2 answers, but... So, to anyone who said true, do you want to quickly explain why you think it's true? Or the logic that leads you into thinking that the thing from the smiley face function is nil? Yep, yell it out. Yep. Okay. So there are really 2 parts. Like there's a lot of things in here to distract you and throw you off the scent, but there are really 2 parts of it. It is how many elements are copied from. So what is the value received here? When we receive from the channel, what is the type? Slice of T. What is the value of that slice of T? It's nil-ish because we closed the channel already. So we're copying from a slice of 0 elements to a slice of 0 elements. How many elements are copied? 0. Yep. So we now know that n is 0 here. Shifting 0 by nothing still leaves it as 0. And so that it all really hangs on this, is what we think the value of n is. And it turns out because n is 0, we go through this part, we return a pointer to n. So that's no longer nil because it's an address of memory that we know. So actually the answer is false. There's no justification for ever writing code like this. There's other than I was said, bring a brain teaser. I thought I can do this. So congratulations. I hope you enjoyed that. Yes, at the back. Question. Yes, here. Okay, so this function teaches us all the evils of using named return values. This n here is not the same as this n here. It is shadowed here. So it is not a pointer to a pointer of int. It is the address of that n, not that n. So if you take anything away from this, it is named return values will bite you in surprising ways. Please don't use them. Yes, question. The order is in file order because they're in the same file. Okay, so question. X is, what is the value of X at this point? Well, we overwrote it, so it used to be snowman, and then in it runs. Okay, let me ask another one. What is this operator? What does it say? Yell it out. XOR? Yes, it is the exclusive OR. So it's 15 exclusive OR 2, which is 1101, or 4 exclusive OR 15 exclusive OR 4, which is 1011. So come on, pointer. There we go. So this one is larger than that one. Yeah, the Go uses the hat character as XOR. There seems to be a common misconception that that is the raising to the power. Very few languages actually do that. Certainly none of the C languages that I'm aware of use use the hat character as a power, but it's generally used in notation. Like if you see it, kind of, if someone writes an email, they like to say 2 to the 32, and they'll use the hat character. That's probably where the misconception comes from. Probably. We can blame many things in Excel. So, yes, this will be the last question, then we can talk to the pub. Mm-hmm. So the question is, these are sort of guaranteed to be in file order. Is this one come before because it's in file order? The actual answer is I'm not sure. And so maybe that's a clue. There is some kind of data flow analysis that if X was on the right-hand side, that assignment would come before this assignment, but I'd have to really look into the spec for how that works. I mean, generally, we write code like this all the time. We have a variable, and we have a function that references that variable straight away in an int function, and it all just seems to work, and it works through that kind of where are they mentioned kind of thing. But there are a few gotchas in here, so do be aware of doing initialization like this combined with initialization like that. Ideally, my preference would be to write a function that like wrapped up all this logic and then assigned to X right there, because then there's no ambiguity. It's only assigned once. Yes, Paul. So please see the video from 2 months ago. Cool. We can talk more about this later, but I should probably crack on.